Good evening and welcome to the Daily News Roundup. I am Abigail Smythe. Coming up in tonight's newscast, parent says Oberlin High School at risk of being taken over by young gangsters. High school student assaulted by man, St. Catherine police probing. Woman killed at candlelight vigil in Westmoreland. Major crimes on the rise in St. Elizabeth. In business, Jamaica Exim Bank and JMEA partner to provide loans for small businesses. In the region, Trinidad and Tobago government slapped with $380 million lawsuit from Chinese contractors. Further overseas, a 15-year-old boy kills 5 people in North Carolina. And in sports, will Reece James and N'Golo Kante go to the World Cup next month? Now for the news in detail. As Oberlin High School is at risk of being overtaken by young gangsters, one devastated mother is calling for the intervention from the Ministry of Education. She is making the call after her son was physically abused by another student at school in a video being circulated on social media. The incident happened last Tuesday. In the video, 2 boys can be seen slapping Demarion Hector across his face. Demarion sat helplessly in his chair. Tashana Payne Hector explains that her son has been a victim of bullying from a gang of students at the school. Mrs. Hector took her son to see a doctor after complaints of prolonged headaches. It was revealed that he is suffering from a left temple contusion. The doctor's report states that his injuries are consistent with infliction of blunt trauma. Mrs. Hector says she went to the school to speak with the Dean of Discipline and other staff members. She was told that an investigation is underway into the incident. Mrs. Hector was informed that the student who assaulted her son has been suspended from school, and when he returns, he will be wearing black and white. Counseling will also be provided for him and is to make a public apology to the school. She says this is not the first incident. Last year, her son was kicked in the chest by the same male student in the video. She says her son told her, along with his teacher at the time, that a gang was being formed in the school. Mrs. Hector says it is not safe for her son to return to the school and will be seeking a transfer to another. The St. Catherine South Police are probing an incident in which a high school student was assaulted by a man. A viral video shows a woman arguing with a female student of a Portmore St. Catherine-based high school before a man walks up to her and appears to strike her in the face, causing her to fall. Acting Commanding Officer of the St. Catherine South Police Division, Superintendent Hopton Nicholson, says a report was made by the parent of the student and statements are to be taken in relation to the matter. Superintendent Nicholson states that the Community Safety and Security Branch of the Jamaica Constabulary Force has already made contact with the school's principal as well as the Dean of Discipline in relation to the matter. But he also appeals to parents and other adults not to interfere with children. His suggestion: if adults see children in disagreements, they can intervene in a very responsible way, but not assault them. He says people can also ask the police, a school's Dean of Discipline, a teacher, or a responsible adult to intervene. One mother is blaming poor infrastructure for severe injuries her daughter received after falling at school on Wednesday. It was understood that the DeCarteret College sixth form student, Nenisha Lloyd, was leaning on a wooden rail when it collapsed and she fell, hitting her head and back on a staircase. There are claims that students had told school administrators that the area was faulty and unsafe, but nothing was done. Principal of the Mandeville, Manchester-based institution, Prim Lewis, admits that the sixth form building has been in need of repairs for some time. She says an investigation is being carried out and that contact has been made with the student, as well as a commitment to assist with the student's medical expenses. The student's mother, Heather Lloyd, says her daughter is badly injured as she is unable to sit upright and has to lay on her back. She is undergoing medical examinations. The mother laments that the school needs to assess its infrastructure. She highlights a light hanging only by 2 strings in the auditorium and the auditorium steps infected with termites. The principal, however, says the light was accidentally broken by students playing and is of no threat. She says an electrician was called to fix the light and that termite treatment has been done. Meanwhile, President of the school's Parent Teachers Association, Debbie Lewis Richards, says some repairs are being organized by the association. Meanwhile, the bloodletting continues in Westmoreland, even with the heavy police presence in the parish. A shop owner, 28-year-old Chantal Hunter, was shot and killed at a candlelight vigil Thursday night in Shaolin Darling Street, Savannah, Lamar. She was from the community. It is reported that Hunter was among a group of people at the vigil when 3 loud explosions were heard. When the shooting subsided, it was discovered that Hunter had received a single gunshot wound to the face. She was taken to the hospital by residents where she died while undergoing treatment. The latest statistics released on October 1 by the Jamaica Constabulary Force revealed that since the start of the year, Westmoreland has recorded 180 murders, 33 more murders than the corresponding period last year. Head of the St. Elizabeth Police Division, Superintendent Kenneth Chin, says there has been a 34% increase in major crimes in the parish. He notes that 30 murders have been committed in the parish since the start of the year compared to 18 during the similar period last year. There have also been 30 cases of shootings during the period as against 18 in 2021. 16 cases of rape were recorded, up from 9 last year. Robberies have also been increased to 49 from 15. However, break-ins are down from 80 to 76, while aggravated assaults have declined from 29 last year to 16 this year. Total serious and violent crimes over the period last year was 163, while the figure this year is 218, representing the 34% increase. And for St. Anne, it is good news. The police say major crimes, including murder, are down in the parish. So far this year, there's been 46 murders compared to 48 during the same period last year. Inspector Webster James says other major crimes, including shooting, robbery, and break-ins, also went down this year compared to 2021. And the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM, is investigating the extent of the involvement of police officers in the death of a woman in Franklin Town on Tuesday. 29-year-old Keela Bryce was shot in the head and thrown from a moving car during a chase. INDICOM's Commissioner Hugh Faulkner says they are trying to determine whether the responding police officers fired at the moving vehicle during the chase and if the gunshot injury to Bryce can be linked to the police. It is understood that Bryce was on her way to work around 10:15 a.m. when the incident occurred along Cumberland Road. The cops say the driver of the vehicle ignored a stop signal at the intersection of Upper King Street and North Parade in downtown Kingston, which subsequently resulted in the chase. The police's corporate communications unit says Bryce was seen tumbling from the right rear door of a grey Toyota Probox with a wound to her head. She was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. INDICOM says the incident was not reported to or processed by the team and that the lawmen deny shooting at the vehicle. He adds that the weapons of the responding officers will be submitted to the forensic lab for testing, and the ballistic results from the testing will guide the next steps in the matter. The man who was brought before the court for reportedly dousing his girlfriend with a flammable substance before setting her ablaze in May 2021 pleaded guilty when he appeared in the St. James Circuit Court on Wednesday. Emron Pelliner was charged with 2 counts of causing grievous bodily harm with intent. Reports are that Pelliner and the woman had an altercation at a business establishment when he reportedly left in rage and returned with the flammable substance which he allegedly used to commit the grievous assault on the woman. The woman, who was engulfed by flames, managed to escape from the burning building with the assistance of residents who took her to the hospital where she underwent treatment. A bar and car wash reportedly operated by the woman were also set on fire. Pilliner, who goes by the aliases Robert Pillinar and Tyrant, was arrested by the police after he reportedly showed up at the Savannah Lamar Hospital in Westmoreland for treatment to burn injuries he had received. His sentencing is set for December 6. Executive Director of the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica, BCJ, Cordell Green, says more regulation is coming to the Internet. This follows the recent ban of music glorifying illegal activities from the airwaves. He says that the coming regulation will impact those who are criticizing the commission. Mr. Green argues that while certain content may now migrate from local airwaves, the Internet is not a free-for-all as they believe. He says despite the appearance of freedom on the Internet, the international community has already started to restrict content based on its own standards, adding that there is more responsibility being placed on content producers and that local players may have a rude awakening. The Broadcasting Commission boss notes that local stakeholders may not have been taking notice of emerging trends on the international scene, which will affect their freedom of expression. He cites Europe as an example, which he says is far advanced in designing regulations for exponential technologies, artificial intelligence, as well as the metaverse, which is the next generation of social networking. Mr. Green says more people are accepting that there cannot be operations in this digital economy and society without standards. The Broadcasting Commission has been heavily criticized and praised at the same time for its directive earlier this week for radio and television stations to stop the transmission of any recorded material that promotes and glorifies illegal activities. Over 10,000 residents from Sligoville communities will receive improved service delivery following the commissioning of the Sligoville water system upgrade in St. Catherine. The water system was commissioned on Thursday by the Minister without Portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Senator Matthew Samuda. The communities of Pleasant Farm, Keith Hall, Top Jackson, Top Kensington, Bottom Kensington, Stanbury Grove, Sligoville Main Road, and James Mountain are receiving more than 14 hours of service from the $34.4 million upgrade at the Sligoville Pumping Station number 4. Member of Parliament for St. Catherine North Central, Natalie Nita Garvey, says she appreciates the upgrades as what existed before was inadequate. She also concurred with Minister Samuda that even though citizens have a right to water, they also have a responsibility to pay their bills, as the National Water Commission (NWC) has to pay high electricity bills because of storing, processing, distribution, and pumping of water. Minister Samuda also mentioned several upgrades to NWC distribution network in the next financial year. He says they will start the process of changing out about $900 million to $1 billion of pumps annually to remove the oldest, unreliable electricity-intensive pumps from the system so that the usage also goes down. Minister Samuda adds that a national non-revenue water reduction program will be announced, which is expected to change the piping network, manage the pressure, ensure that pumps are properly calibrated, and ensure that residents get water in their pipes. And in business news, Jamaica's Export-Import Exim Bank has partnered with the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association to provide loans for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. The $100 million Exim e-commerce funder is expected to help businesses improve their digital footprint in the e-commerce space. The loan is open to businesses that have been registered for 2 years or more, members of the JMEA, and all small businesses seeking assistance in increasing sales and marketing locally and overseas. Each business can access from $1 million up to $5 million. The facility will fund up to 80% of a specific project cost with up to 5 years to repay. The Exim e-commerce funder will offer an interest rate starting at 5%. And in the region, Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says the government has been slapped with a $380 million lawsuit from a group of Chinese contractors following the decision of a previous government to cancel the construction of an aluminum smelter plant in 2010. Rowley said that the People's Partnership government, headed by Kamla Persad Bisesa, had improperly shut down the project. The then Patrick Manning government had decided to construct the aluminum smelter plant. Rowley said there is some settlement with respect to the closure of the project and that they are in discussions with the Chinese government. Alutrint and the China National Machinery and Equipment Import and Export Corp. signed an agreement in 2005 to build a $540 million aluminum complex that would have produced 125,000 tons per year. The deal included several downstream projects that would use the output, including an automotive parts and car wheel plant, rod mill, and wire and cable plants. And on the international scene, a 15-year-old boy fatally shot 5 people in North Carolina's capital city on Thursday. Police say he shot 2 people in the streets of a neighborhood and then fled toward a walking trail where he opened fire, killing 3 more people and wounding 2 others. Authorities had not determined a motive. The victims were of different races and ranged in age from 16 to their late 50s and included an off-duty police officer. Raleigh Police Chief Estella Pattison said the teen was hospitalized in critical condition following the shootings but did not say how he was injured. The teen, who was not immediately identified by police, eluded officers for hours before he was cornered in a home and arrested. Authorities have also not commented on what charges the suspect could face. And in sports, Chelsea manager Graham Potter confirmed that Reece James and N'Golo Kante will see specialists in the coming days, which could determine their chances of going to the World Cup next month. England right-back James limped off with a knee injury during the Blues' 2-0 win against AC Milan in midweek, with reports in the English media suggesting that the 22-year-old faces a race against time to be fit for Qatar. Kante has not featured since August and has suffered a setback in his return from a hamstring injury. The midfielder was vital to France's success in Russia 4 years ago and would be a big miss. Potter also confirmed that Wesley Fofana is unlikely to play for Chelsea before the World Cup due to a knee injury, limiting his chances of making the France squad. And that's it for the news roundup for today. I am Abigail Smythe. Have a great weekend and see you next time.